Hey everyone, welcome to the first surprise live episode of Life is Not a Game. We wanted to
Yes.
kind of test out a new format to see because of course we're gonna have live episodes with guests. But we also wanted to have a conversation today. There's been a lot going on in the esports and gaming space, and we have our own thoughts that we want to add into the mix. And so we were like, okay, Velly, you're settled. I'm settled.
Just fucking
Tyler's where
do
he
it.
usually is. So let's just do it and not
Yeah.
and just not make an
Yes.
announcement. Go for it.
We're talking career stuff. We're talking fun stuff, okay? Like, so the one thing that I get from Trooper, especially my man Spaceman and all them before he signed to CSA, is people they question what it's like to have an agency and Erin, this is the funniest shit, right? Before
Okay.
everybody signs to an agency, don't they all have like a different perception of
They do.
what
But
it's like?
yeah.
They think like the moment they sign, bam, we made it. I'm casted with Henry G on the main stage. You know what I'm saying? Nah, it don't work like that.
No, it's the complete opposite. Like when you get representation and you sign, then that's when the hard work starts. So for those who are wondering, why are we talking about representation? We saw the recent news about Ninja's wife, Jessica Blevins, and how she's not being his manager anymore. And so we were kind of having a conversation before where it's like, okay, have we ever discussed like how we got representation? And then
No.
also like, how do you balance having representation or working with people who are your friends or your significant others or anything like that? Like, how does that even work? And so we wanted to have like that live conversation.
Aaron, I never
What?
really went public about why part of the reason why I'm even here today has to do with the agency I'm with and me being petty as well. Never tell people this story, but I can't wait. But Tyler, man, how you feeling about today's discussion? Wait, Tyler, first off, this is your first face-on introduction to our audience. Just so you guys know, I've been trying to
big
get
day.
this 6 foot. I've been trying to get this 6'8" motherfucker to be on all of our shows, but he's like, nah, I want to chill in the background, be the producer and whatnot. But Tyler, you finally one of the faces on the screen, man. How you feeling?
We had this planned. It's almost been like a full year since I think we've had this plan originally, and I'm finally here. We got the change set up here on the layout. This is gonna be really fun.
I like it. It's cute. By the
I've
way,
been sharing my thoughts on the spaces, but now I'm glad to actually you guys are putting a face to the name now. So
share the thought with your faces, man. But first things first, Tyler, you're not with an agency right now. Out of all three of us, you're the one that's not with an agency. And my question to you is, from hearing me talk about it with Spaceman and with Aaron and whatnot, and someone that's, a caster and he's aspiring to, turn it up a notch, what do you think that life is like? What is it? What do you think that road is like? I want to hear it from you. This is gonna be funny.
Well, if I want to kick it up a notch in my career, I better be careful with what I say. So just to walk that
you're
line.
good. This
No,
is fun.
no.
Are you okay?
Yeah, you're
No, I'm
about?
kidding.
chilling.
I'm
Do you
kidding.
see the shit that me and Velly say and we're represented? Like,
Like, come on.
No,
Tyler,
that's-
You'll be all right.
you're
I,
fucking
I
wild.
totally get it. Yeah, I have this bad mentality where like you might even do the same thing. I'll like type out a tweet like 5 times a day, and I'm like, I don't know, I think that might piss somebody off, and then I'll delete it. It's like, so I'm like carrying over into this. But I mean, isn't it easy to say anybody? 99% of the people that we have worked with, you end up being friends with. I've made some great friends that seemingly that I feel like I've known them my whole life. So now it does kind of walk that line where people, I guess, kind of breaking into the industry, that it is harder for people like that because you have favoritism or whatever. And a lot of people, they do get sick of that. But I mean, I think that's just part of the game, though, isn't it? Isn't that really what the definition
So,
of networking
that was
is?
an easy answer. That was an easy answer. So, how do you think this will affect your work? Like, how do you think you can even attract an agency? This is the good
right.
shit, because this is what all up and coming casters need to like hear and feel about, because we all thought the same thing and it was different.
So I'll admit, for somebody that's like been
You would never
content for,
sound
like-
stupid, by the way. All right, there's no stupid answer to this.
Oh, no, I'm used to always sounding stupid, so it's totally fine. It's great. But I think for somebody like me, I've made content for like the last like 10 plus years of my life, and I feel like I should have had a better scope on this. Where, dude, a few years ago, me and you, Velly, had this conversation. We were like, oh, well, there are certain event or tournament organizers, they're paying talent a lot more money just to have their name on the card, but nobody's tuning into events, or at least at the time, the way the landscape was, people weren't necessarily tuning in to see people on the desk. It was more of the actual event itself. But now it's a full package. Now you have people that are on these roles that are expected to be an influencer, that are expected to kind of move the needle in some way, shape, or form, or at least have a presence in a way. And I think that that's the most important part if you're looking to do that.
You know what? I think it's a problem if people want to come in to do broadcasting in the esports gaming space for the purpose of being influencers. I think that actually will hurt the industry a little bit.
That's true.
Because,
I agree.
Like for me, like
fake.
I didn't come into this role and say, hey, I want to be an influencer. Like, first of all, I hate that word to begin with.
Me too.
I didn't come in to want to be an influencer. I came in because I wanted to be a great broadcaster. I want to be a great host. Like, I want to be at the level of like people that we like outside of gaming. Like for example, one kind of roadmap person that I look at is like Ryan Seacrest, how he does a lot of hosting and broadcasting. He executive produced shows. Like he has his own businesses on top of broadcasting.
That's TV
that is
Puppet,
my
by the way.
goal. But I didn't enter and was like, oh, I want to be an influencer. And to be honest, when I first started, like I didn't even know if I was gonna get representation or not. I kind of like shot my shot with CAA and a few other agencies, and then CAA was like, oh, we want to definitely pick you up. But I think that I feel like sometimes in esports and gaming, I think there's people who do it for the love of it, but I also think that there are some people who do it because of the momentum of followings and influence. But funny enough,
What's up?
Buck, I don't think
Do it.
enough broadcasters in esports and gaming do enough to brand themselves beyond just esports. I don't think that the skill sets that are set right now, I don't know if it's easily
It's about to
transferable
get thick. It's about to get thick.
outside
about to get
of
thick.
the industry, to be honest.
Let me say this, and I think about this all the time. Whenever I talk to an aspiring caster, there's two different mindsets. There's two entirely different mindsets. You have the one person that wants to work in that one game that they grew up in. They don't care to make a living off of it, and they're okay making the $5 and a high five a day. And then you have the individuals that are looking to, they see it the way I see it, the way you see it, the way Blue sees it, to where this is a career. And we are not here to, we would love to work in just one game if the pay was right and everything was there and everything was beneficial. But we're here to expand and grow. That's what I wanted to say to that. To what Tyler said, and I'm going to say this before I forget, I would say the funniest thing about commentators' talent in general.
Yeah.
Before we all get signed, we have this perception that longevity of doing this means we're more important. But the one thing that they don't realize is that no one gives a fuck about that. It's all about your impact on screen and how much you can make out of that impact. That's something a lot of people don't realize.
That's
now,
true.
whenever I hear about talent getting shafted for an event or whatnot, it's always literal quotes. Literal quotes. I've been here from the start. I've been doing this. I've been building a community. But it's like, but that's really not what matters. Being here from the start. That's not what matters. Anybody could be here from the start. You could be on screen more than everybody else. But at the end of the day, what does your impact do for the scene? And are you one of the biggest figures in the scene now? That's the shit people should be paying attention to. But
you know why it's not? I think part of the problem is that they don't come in and assess, okay, what can I do differently? How can I, what value as a broadcaster can I bring? I think sometimes, and I'm not generalizing, because generalization is never a good thing, but from conversations I've heard, like I've heard people say, I got into broadcasting because of this person, or we've heard stories of people saying like, I was trying to be like Puckett, or I was trying to be like this and it didn't work out. I had to figure out my own lane. Sometimes,
I think we all have
for
that
example,
phase.
right? Have you noticed that like there is this new kind of like being eccentric and shit posting and all this stuff? Like a lot of different individuals are doing that right now, and some are really good at it and some not. But talent have to understand, like, you have to figure out what you do well and build upon that and really show the value of whatever that skill set you have that no one else can do, that you could bring to the table. And I just don't think that they're trained to think that or to establish that for themselves, because there is no development. There's no, everyone most people learned how to do this on their own in this space.
Yeah, you're right. So
what is it's really about how does whatever your skill set, whatever your strengths are, how does that align with what the specific viewers or what a community wants? I think that's the best way to kind of figure things out, or what's that common link?
it's interesting. So, Tyler, we heard about what you thought about what it's like, joining an agency and what's expected and whatnot. You think it's going to help you out from the terms of networking. What would make an agency want you? How are you? What's your approach? Like, do you even know what the fuck is going on? Like, do you know what you're doing? Do you have an idea?
I think we're always faking it and saying that everything's all good, right? Every single day. I mean, that's kind of my mentality, but I
Just
try
vibes.
right, yeah, just like, we're all good, but I try to play into my strengths as much as I can. And like with me, I think I kind of have the advantage where so many people now are trying to get into the content side of things, and that because it's the best way to really expand and figure out the kind of how to branch out in certain ways, like how Erin said earlier. And I'm trying to find the best way on how to maximize that, but also kind of keep it in line with my time as far as balancing casting overall. And I think I had mentioned it before with you, Velly, in a conversation where it's going to take probably like 6 months of consistent, high quality work in casting where you can really expect to actually be on the radar for an agency. I think like that's a good kind of.
You think 6 months?
Between 3 and 6 months, I think is a good area to aim for. Like depending on if this is like from somebody who's like brand new or whatever. Is if you're have some sort of an established, I guess, tenure in the scene, then you already have a pretty good leg up. And that's where a lot of people now, like you'll have pro players that will transition into the analyst desk or a role like that. You'll have content creators kind of doing that. So it's all about kind of the best way to find your footing in how to build value for the scene.
You know why that's interesting, Erin? I never put a time frame on anything. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I did either.
It's just
I didn't do a time frame. For me, there was no time frame. I think for me, it was when I started getting specific brand deals that I was like, okay, I need to get representation now. Like, I think the first brand deal work that I did was for AT&T. And then there was more that were coming. And then I was like, okay, I can't handle this on my own. Like, I need someone else to be able to handle it. And then that's when I took it from there. I mean, even when I was doing broadcasting at Cheddar Esports, I wasn't thinking like, okay, I'm going to do this for a couple months and then get representation. I think that once it got to the point that like my ability to handle certain communications, like I just couldn't, that's when I was like, oh, okay, I need to get some sort of support. Because at the end of the day, you're going to need that support to grow, like, regardless.
So what was your Peacock Dance looking like when you tried to attract an agency? What did you do? What was your avenue, girl?
Yeah, I need to take notes.
There's a lot of different ways.
Yeah. Well, one, it helped that I used to be a producer. So like, not only am I a host, but I also get paid. I get paid to be a host, but I get extra paid because I have producer experience. So if I'm hired, there's that expectation of you have a 2-for-1 person. So that was very enticing. I think another thing too is I have the ability to make people open up and tell me things that they don't tell anyone else. And then this is something that's been like my entire life. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because of the energy that I give out, but I have really been able to, throughout my career, have been able to break stories and news. Like I actually, I used to do a podcast with some people way before. We were the ones that actually broke the news that Kanye West was executive producing all the albums for the artists. Like, but we got them to say that because of the environment we created. So that's always been my skill set. I think also just like the relatability. I think that I've been able to really set the kind of energy where if people watch me, one, they'll listen to what I have to say, and two, it's kind of like the Friends vibe in a way that I present into the content that I do, or the broadcasts that I do. So it's some intangibles that I think that work, but,
for people listening, like Erin's the same person on camera, off camera. She's high energy, nice, inspiring, always trying to gas you up. It's
You never say that about me, Tyler. What am I like?
You're the same, Velly. I
You
swear
always
to
try
God,
to
you're
sweet talk
the
me off
same.
camera. I can't.
I'm an asshole. I'm an asshole, guys. I'm a fucking dickhead. Yo, you want to know how I tried to attract an agency, Erin?
How did you get?
It was. I don't tell people this. There's only like 2 people I've ever told this.
Oh, really?
Wait up. It was 2017.
Okay.
San Diego Gears of War Open, right? So I was aware of CSA and all that stuff, right? I was aware of the agencies and whatnot. But Gears of War, for some reason, like, because I was the outspoken one, I was the first villain on the desk ever for Gears of War. You know,
Wow.
I rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and they weren't used to how to deal with a personality like that, because Gears of War was very stale when it came to that, and on the talent side. So,
Yeah.
no disrespect, though, by the way. But, so one event, they wanted to try someone out in the desk host role because I was raw, I was brutal, I was honest, you know what I'm saying? So the guy that they had try out for my role, I did fight night, and it was the day before I flew out to go to San Diego. I'll never forget this, and it slipped that Bill Jump Carter, yes, that one, was going to take a series from me to try out for my role. And I found out that on accident. And so I was like, all right, we're gonna see. I'm a hyper competitive motherfucker. See, the thing is, they knew on the mic, Velly. They didn't know Lavelle Cardwell. You know what I'm saying? I am very competitive at everything I do. And the thing is, listen to the way I talk to people. When that event happened, I was like, all right, I was nice. I was cordial. I did my thing. I never liked the guy. I always got a bad vibe from him. Never liked him, though. He showed up, he did his thing, and the community were like, who the fuck is this guy? Where the fuck is Velly? And that was the first time the villain on the desk was missed. And I sat there, and it annoyed me. It annoyed the shit out of me. And I take it personal. And I made it a mission. And you know what my mission was? My mission was, I looked at CSA, and I saw that, you know, if they're able to get their guy to just come in and try to take my job, I'm gonna do that. Opposite. I'm gonna try to take other jobs. I want to be better at the desk host. So from that day forward, I started looking at other esports, and I was looking at open positions because I was like, all right, my job obviously isn't safe in Gears of War. So let me branch out and do my own thing and see how far I can really take this now. See, now I want to see how fucking good I could get at this job. And I did it. And I did it. And it got to the point to where I entered a contest to be an analyst in Rainbow Six. Tyler knew about that when I entered it, right? And I won that contest. And guess who was my host for that contest? Bill Jump Carter. And so I started seeing him more and more. So I started evaluating my success by how often I was on the same broadcast with CSA talent. And I was like, I'm doing the right thing now. I'm doing the right thing. I'm getting these jobs. I'm going on Twitch Rivals. I'm doing my thing. No, I did Twitch Rivals because of them. But like, I was going to Rainbow Six. I was with them. I was working with Golden Boy, doing E-League. I was feeling great about myself. You know what I'm saying? And so I ballsed up, and I was so annoying. Ladies and gentlemen, listen. Don't be as annoying as me. I knew that some people from CSA was in the email. Don't do this. Seriously, don't do this. This is bad. And
Disclaimer.
I think I either called or sent an email, and I annoyed them. I gave them a spiel about who I was. I was just a fucking nobody who's been doing this for a year. And I'm like, I would want to talk about, an agency. I had nothing to offer them. I was on my way out of Gears of War. I had nothing else. I didn't have any other experience. Never worked a big major in front of a huge audience because Gears of War lands weren't really big like that outside of Mexico. And then, that was what really drove me. I started getting interest once that passion and drive put me in a position to where it was like, all right, Rainbow Six calls me and they want me to work full time. I now had value. I had something to offer because of my hard work, because of my petty competitive side. And after that was when at that point in time, people at CSA, they knew me well and I knew them well because I annoyed them. And like I said, don't fucking do that, please. It will make you look really bad, please. If I had to go back in time, I wouldn't do it. I would not do that.
Oh, you sound good? Are you sure?
Only the women that I like that I'm playing. But the thing is, I'm playing. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Verification.
But,
Twitter
like,
Being
verification.
persistent is good if you do it the right way. You know what I'm saying?
You can't really say like, oh, don't do that, because it got you exactly where you are now. So it's kind of a
it's one-offs.
It's
There's
hard thing to
one-offs.
say.
I'm smart enough to put my ego to the side and say there are one-off instances. And because one person got lucky doing that, you know what I'm saying? Just because one person made out the hood by making music don't mean everybody makes music and we get out the hood, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't happen for everyone like that. You know, Esports Doug posted, no, Simo posted clips commentating Valorant. It was posted on Twitter and got, you know, jobs doing commentary with ESPN. That doesn't work for everybody. There's one-offs. That will annoy the fuck out of people and make you look dumb if you don't know what the fuck you're doing. But ultimately, I got something of value to offer. And because I had something of value to offer an agency to pay them to represent me, it became a beautiful relationship. And so, yeah, there are ways. Ultimately, the reason why I said that story, I said it to just show how fucking petty I am, but also, if you guys are looking to be represented, the biggest mistake that I hear is people will come up to me and they're like, hey, I want an agency. I'm like, all right, what game you cast? Nothing. Why would they want you? You're going to have to build yourself up first. Listen, if you want a date and you see a 10 at the bar, even an 8.5, a 7, 7's a good, you know what I'm saying? What are you going to offer her to make her want to go home with you?
That's true. Or him. We're inclusive.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, or him. You know what I'm saying?
You're repeating my inner mantra.
In the real world,
yeah.
And real in all caps, you only get shit if you have something to offer, if it's really worth it.
It's value. You have to have value. At the end of the day, if we're going to narrow it down, agents are representing you because by them making you money, they make themselves money. Like, that's just it is what it is. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. And if you don't, but that's what I said. It goes back to the whole thing where they have to understand, as broadcasters, people have to understand what is your value. And to be honest, it can't just be, oh, I'm so knowledgeable of this game, or I do this. Like, no, it has to be more. And then what we're seeing now too, and this is something that I'm kind of like on the other side, where I really had to sit down and assess, do I still want to continue esports broadcasting? I think esports broadcasting is phenomenal. I loved the work that I did in esports space. However, when I had a conversation with my CA agents, they basically were saying, esports is great, but it also pigeonholes you. And I've had conversations with other hosts in esports about it kind of pigeonholing you. But that's why it's so important to establish these kind of skill sets and intangibles that are beyond just the game, that are beyond just a scene that you're doing, so that you can do more. I mean, look, Velly, you just did a recent deal with a brand, and it didn't have anything to do with esports. And it's like, the one thing that I'm trying to encourage people in this space is continue building in esports, continue growing. But the way that the entertainment industry and the brands and how they're moving, it's no longer siloed. Like, everything is a blur now. And now actually it's more of an opportunity for those in this space to expand now, because people are more aware of esports. And there's certain qualities and personalities that translate over from this scene to others. Like, I've done esports broadcasts, I've done general gaming. I've done even like sports. But I used to cover sports. That was like the first thing I covered, traditional sports. But
right.
I just, when you have more value beyond just your game, it makes it so much easier for agents. And on top of it too, it's like you want an agent and then another thing, you got to be careful with who you sign with too. Ooh. Because you have to sign with an agent with the understanding of where you want to go 5-10 years from now.
I mean,
don't be desperate.
Yes, don't just sign with anyone. You have to sign with someone who's going to get you to where your long-term goals are, not short-term goals. That's why I signed with CAA, because to be honest, I didn't want to do esports forever. I wanted to do more than that, and CAA has the ability to do that. That's why I didn't sign with another agency that's a little more gaming specific, right? So it's like, you have to really do your homework in order to find the right person who believes in you and can actually sell you.
I'm going to say this. When you sign a contract, my life, Erin, being in this industry and doing what we do, it is very easy to say that when you hit your sweet spot, your life can literally change in a month. Now, with that being said, these contracts are for a year or 2 years. So if you're desperate and you just want to sign with an agency because you think that's gonna be your ticket to success and living the dream, I'm gonna tell you now. I had a friend that did that. That friend had no idea what was going on. That friend was really good at what that individual did. That friend wanted opportunities in certain games where there were openings for that individual and they would have been a shoo-in.
Yeah.
And they fumbled the bag and was lazy and didn't make it happen. And that friend wound up leaving them and joined someone else and just blew up because they acted on them. Now, the thing is, if that friend did not have a good relationship with the people and was able to get out that contract, do what he needed to do, then that would have been rough. That would have been rough. So make sure you take your time. And also, when it comes to me, Uber, a lot of other people out there that offer advice on the TL, even Paul with ESL, like he's fucking great, yo. I love him. We're always open to give you guys advice about agencies, deals, and whatnot, because you don't want to sign yourself with an agency and then you sit around and you kind of get nothing, because that will happen, and
that
they
can
own
happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people, they got to be careful though, right? Like, all right, I'll sign for a year or I'll sign for 2 years, but that esports moves so fast. Your career can change so much in just a year. That's why I think that's a much bigger decision than it might seem, even in like the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we can even mention from transitioning from, say, just esports in general to just general broadcasting or on-air talent, I should say, I think esports gaming in general, or I'll say esports itself, that is probably the best launching pad to get into the industry, and because esports is so fast paced, things move so quickly, events can be hectic, organized but hectic. It happens. That's just esports. That's the nature of the thing. Like me and you, Velly, we've seen people.
You get it.
we were at these a couple grassroots events. We were at one in AC. I'm not gonna name names, but I remember. I don't remember who it was, but somebody, a fan, was like, "This looks easy," and it was.
Yes.
Remember this? We were like, "Oh, you know what?"
They said that the podcast looked easy.
We're like, "Here, why don't you give it a try?" We gave him an opportunity.
It was a player.
Yeah. Oh, it was a player. You're right.
He was actually. I think he was actually. He became either a really low-end pro or a high-end semi-pro at the peak of his career.
Yeah, I'm upset I don't remember who it was, but I remember him sitting down in the chair.
I can tell you who it was.
And
it was
my
Robbie.
God.
You were
Robbie
fine.
with that. Robbie with the afro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sitting
he sat down.
Not even 90 seconds in, he's like, I
ran
ran out of things to say. He went from
No.
this looks easy to this job is impossible.
I remember the story. So Robbie sits down. This is Call of Duty. And Robbie, he sits down, he talks for like 5 seconds. He goes, "Man, this is easy. You guys should pay me." And I literally yell out at him. Me, Spaceman, and Tyler are looking like, "Look at this motherfucker." And I yell out, I'm like, "Say that." I said, "Say that shit again in a minute." And he looks at me, he smiles. He's like, "Yeah." So we sit around, we're watching. And then as he goes to the next hard point, he's like, "Yeah, and damn, this shit is hard." And I sit down with him and I finish the cast and I'm like, "Yeah, now you see why we get paid." And it was the best thing ever. But go ahead, man. That shit was funny.
It just goes back to the point of esports. When you actually get into a groove, when you get good at your job in esports, especially as like a play-by-play caster, as as a desk host, even as an interviewer, anybody that's some sort of talent or any job in esports, the way that things move, I think when you're able to make that transition, especially if you're like doing things that are scripted or whatever, I think you can just get into that groove so much easier. I think esports is a great launching pad. It's like still a hidden gem, which I think a lot of people are still figuring out.
Content in esports. Erin keeps talking about the difference about what she does and what I do, because like we do the same thing. I would like to think that shit. I'm somewhat of a bootleg Erin on the esports side, but like Erin says, like on the esports side, you're in front of a lot of people, so like you get a lot of growth and following, right? But when you do like, mainstream media, commercials and whatnot, your gamer tag and your ad isn't on the screen, so you don't get that type of exposure. So milking that exposure on the esports side is pretty smart, but it is still very, very, very difficult.
Yeah. Also, it doesn't really pay as much as some of the other stuff.
No, it doesn't.
Like, I've definitely like
Tell me more about that.
one of like, without throwing a number out, like one of my brand deals, just one of them is close to probably like what someone on the high end of esports would probably get for a salary for you.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just one deal compared to all the other stuff that I do.
When I did CES, I loved it, and that was just
the
like
brands.
brand
Oh my
work
God.
is.
Brand deals are like where it's at. I ain't gonna front. They got, especially if you're working with like tech, alcohol brands, what else? Beauty
Those
brands.
are
Like they got
so
money.
Fun. Yeah.
I've had this goal for years where I'm like, I want to be that guy that gets to a point where I get free stuff in the mail from brands and stuff. I'm like, this is the dream. This is the hookup, you know? Like that's where it's at. That would be so sweet.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll tweet the shit out of whatever you want to send me. Just a shout out to anybody listening.
No, you need to limit it, dude. If they want you to tweet more, they gotta pay you more. You know, your socials are valuable. Expression in the chat said, I feel like every situation ain't the same though. Exposure is key. And if that takes signing up, just got to be schooled in negotiations. Poro came in and mentioned, I think it comes down to getting a lawyer, to be honest. We say Surf Animal in here. Hi. So yeah, I think that, but the thing is not every exposure is good exposure, and not every, how do you say? Not every exposure point in esports can transfer over into more profitable opportunities. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's plenty of people who may have a lot of followers, but like they may not be getting the bag like that, like in some shape or form. And it's all about how you shape your business and how you shape you. That's the one thing that I've really spent time with my agents. And I don't know, Velly, I want to ask you if you have these conversations with your agents, but like for my representation, we talk about like each year, what's the goal? We kind of call it Erin 1.0, Erin 2.0, Erin 3.0. Erin 1.0 was just like building consistency and credibility. Erin 2.0 was like, okay, getting on more reputable platforms and in gaming and esports.
I like this.
Erin 3.0, which is this year, is getting into more household shows and programs, like bigger platforms. And so we have like this roadmap of like what we need to do, where we need to go, what I want, all these different things. And so do you have those conversations with your representation? And then Tyler, for you, do you have like your own blueprint roadmap that you set up for yourself, where you're like, hey, okay, during this time or this time frame, I want to accomplish this, this, and this, or I want to go here or there? Like, do you have an idea of like, from a growth and brand and even work perspective, like where you want to go? And does your team, or do at least you have an understanding of that too?
I'll answer first. I mean, I probably have Google Docs like up to 5-6 years old of just like, here's the plan for this year. And then like it always evolves into some way, shape, or form. And I think what I'm trying to do now is I've thought about how like my time is such an important asset now. When you get to a certain age, it's a true statement. And I think for me now, I'm trying to figure out the best way to capitalize on, I guess, the right metrics for the way for me to grow. That way that I know my time, whenever I invest my time, whatever I put it into, I know it's going to be best, it's going to be maximized to its full potential. I think that's the smartest key for anybody, really. Because, I mean, just coming down to it, like, if you want to put it up into one phrase, it's all about just doing the work. Like, you wonder, how can I get into this? How do I do that? Well, I think it always just starts about just doing the work, because that's where a lot of people get hung up on. I know I do. Analysis paralysis, that is me. That's what I'm all about. And I'm just trying to always improve on that.
All right. And Erin, what was your question to me again?
Like, did you have that conversation with your representation about, because everyone's relationship with their representation is different. Like,
no.
For me,
I remember now. Go ahead.
You don't? Oh no.
So I went to CSA with pretty much a vision of what I wanted to do, and it was basic. Our relationship is kind of beautiful, to be completely honest. CSA knew that I went there with a one-track mind. I would tell them like, "Hey, this is what I'm interested in," and they would sit there and be like, "All right, we're gonna poke, we're gonna talk, and whatever comes to us, we're gonna make that shit work. We're gonna make magic happen." But I put it on my end as well to reach out and have those conversations. I told them basically, "Hey, listen, I wanna host this game, and this is what I'm gonna do, and I want to make sure, like, I have this situation. Hey, I'm interested in Valorant. You know, let's make that work. So like I make things easier for them by telling them things I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And they also know like, hey, we had a talk when I first signed with them, and it was very clear like, hey, what do you want to do? And I told them, I'm like, hey, you know, I really don't know because I'm new to this. I never dreamt about doing this, right? But I'd love to be on something like First Take one day, but I know that's not going to be easy. So in the meantime, I would like to be a desk host for these games. And that was it. It was simple. Other than that, I feel like now we have this synergy to where if they see an opportunity that they know I would like, they throw it to me. And it's very rare that I say no because it's literally something that I would say that I want. So we have a really good bond. I always stay in touch with them through all of my thoughts.
Yeah. That's the same. I made sure with my CA agents, I literally told them, I said, listen, I'm only going to sign with you. There's a few things. One, I told them, I don't want you to ever tell me that I can't do something. Don't say I'm not big enough or anything. If you do, then I'm done. Two, because I needed an agency that's going to believe in me, right? Of course, it's going to take
Yeah.
steps to get to where
Facts.
we want to go, my big goals, but never like the I think that and them believing me that much is the reason why I've gotten some of the things that I have, like, and even with the numbers that I have. And then the other thing is, like I said, I want a good relationship. Like, I want to be able to text you. If I see something cool, I want to send it to you. I want to have constant communication because I'm the kind of person that, like, I actually want to know what kind of business my agents are getting involved in. Like, and I
Yes.
have it set up where they can never, ever agree to something unless I say so. Like, I'm the final sign off. Like, you can't do anything. Like, they can't be like, oh, we got you this deal for this amount. Like, no, like, I am the final sign off for everything. But I've always been like that. Like, I want to know where's my money coming from and where is it
Yes.
going? Where is my business coming from? Where are business opportunities? There's some talent that don't want to be hands on. To me, if I want to be very successful, or for anyone who's watching, you want to be very successful, you better be hands on with your business.
Very hands-on.
Because your teams are going to change, your agents may change. You may have to be more involved on the business end. Like, you need to know everything about it. And if you have representation or someone who doesn't want to bring you into these things, then, like, that's a red flag.
Yeah. Big time.
And there's some, but I don't know, dude. There's some people who just don't want to know anything, and I'm like, yo, that's literally when certain people take advantage of talent. Like,
No, that's what
how you
happens.
not knowing where the check's coming from? How you not looking at your own checks? Why is someone else getting your checks? Like, it's like all these different things.
So, okay, there's something in the chat that I want to answer.
Okay. From who?
Rome, shout out to Rome, DMV TV.
What's up,
Rome, what's
Rome?
up, dog? Rome, by the way, I was watching your commentary for Call of Duty, like that hype moment. I stalked your Twitter profile. Good shit, dude. I think that was you. I don't know. Probably got two black dudes mixed up, but I'm hoping that was you. He says, so you're saying not every gig is worthwhile. Oh, so it was you, yeah. Every gig is not worthwhile, and not every career path in each game is gonna be worthwhile. You got to be strategic about it. For instance, take a look at me. I mean, I could speak from my own experience because I like to be open about my life, right? Because
Yeah, no problem.
You're
thing
very
lessons that I
open
learned can
about
help.
life.
Yeah, lessons that I learned can help out other people. Like if I have to be a martyr for the next person to learn and be better, then I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? We have one life. Fuck it. Like I'm down to help. Um, I was in a very comfortable position, kind of, right? I was in Rainbow Six to where for I was the desk host of the North American League, but for some reason I just was getting fucked for events because of competition between offices. But also, I was in a very good spot because I was also the desk host for North American Valorant outside of the global side of things. So I had two games that I loved a lot that I was working in, but also I had Call of Duty, the Call of Duty League. Call of Duty League was a very good opportunity, and even though I could work with Valorant, one of the fastest growing games in the fucking world, you know what I'm saying? Like, and also doing Rainbow Six, where I have a community that I fucking adore. I miss them, I really do, right? Um, I went to Call of Duty because of the lane that I would have been able to go on, and the lane is I was going to be basically that guy with no question. I was going to go to events. I was going to be able to prove myself. I was going to be able to do this and that. Like, yeah, I am possibly going to make less money off of just the Call of Duty contract than I would have both Valorant and Rainbow Six, which is fine because I'm still living good. You know what I'm saying? The thing was, I wanted it to really go in and show that I could be that guy. And if Call of Duty wants to say, Velly, we want to make this your home. Tyler, what have I always said? I always wanted a home, right? Like, I've always wanted one game I wanted to work with. That relieved so much stress off of me. Shit, I could have gone to Six Invitational and racked up a whole bunch of money, and then could have done Valorant and racked up a whole bunch of money, and I would have brought 5 more Teslas this year. But it's not about that because I'm thinking long term. It's not always about getting a gig and grabbing money. It's all about putting yourself in a position to where you're gonna last in the long term, dude. I've turned down events. I've turned down events, majors. I turned down the Mexico major. I basically turned down Six Invitational. I've turned down gigs here and there because not everything is worth that screen time. It's not about how much work you do, it's how much of an impact you make with the work that you do. Like when I got into Valorant, dude, I wasn't able to get into the FaZe Invitational. I wasn't able to get into any of the qualifiers or anything. I was fucked when it came to Valorant, and I almost gave up. I did a tier 2 event with Van Silly, and
Was it
we
Nerd
rocked
Street?
it. No. Nursery don't hit me up until Riot tell them when it was during that time, because I wasn't on their radar. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It was a post invitational. One, I think.
I almost did a spit take.
Me and Van Silly with that one event I did, a tier 2 event. Me and Van Silly crushed it, and then bam, I'm talking to Riot. Meanwhile, people that had been casting since the beginning and was on screen literally 20 times by that time, and I was on screen 1 time. It's all about the impact you make, man. It's quality over quantity, always.
But it's not just that. I think another thing too is that we need more personalities who can bring in different audiences. Who can, you can't be, and I hate to say this, but like, esports, yes, you want to have your people who, in terms of analysts, you want them to be very knowledgeable of the game and all this stuff. But going back to what I always say, it's not the host's job to do that. It's the host's job to be entertaining, to help with the storyline, to keep the show running. Like, you want to have a host that's going to gravitate and bring people in. They don't even have to be fans of the game, but they may be like, this shit's amazing, it's fun. That's why I always say, we as broadcasters need to look at how everyone does. Like, for example, right?
Yeah.
I always tell people the FGC, and more specifically with Street Fighter, has one of the most entertaining broadcasts. You don't need to know anything about, like combos or anything like that. But the energy that they bring is very unique and it's different. And what you're seeing right now in some instances, not with all esports, but more so like Valorant, even with COD, it's like more about the personality, the energy, and the entertainment of it. And that's what's going to pull people to it, and a good producer will be like, okay, we know the kinds of people who are staples within the scene. Now I have to say, obviously we knew about the whole situation or kind of aware about, Maven and Merc not being part. Okay. Right. But, you need to also have people who are going to bring the casual fans, make the casual fans or people who may want to come in and see not be intimidating. Because I'll be honest, sometimes I go into certain streams and broadcasts, they're talking very technical, and I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? Oh,
you know what, man?
It's like, what is going on?
Shit.
Aaron, you just
scares people away.
You blew my mind, because that makes me actually have a thought that because of the pandemic, because of everything having to 99.9% move online, I think that makes the roles of being like an on-air talent, I think that shows that you need that personality so much more. Whereas like before, any casual viewer, it was like you were drawn in by the roaring crowd. Like you said, the FGC community, the crowd would always be nuts, it would always be hype. Everybody would get pulled in from that and usually would stay for that. But now when a lot of the stuff is online, you have to, I think, really, in a sense, bring it. You have to make sure that you're that much more entertaining to kind of keep the viewers' interest. Because I mean, Velly knows this, like too. Like, if you're casting or you're any sort of host or anything like that, when you have to fill time, there's so many types of things like that really these variables a lot of people don't realize.
You're gonna talk stats
That's what I'm
for
saying.
a 40-minute
You
film,
have to be
motherfucker?
entertaining to some
Nah,
aspect.
you're gonna get the
And
trash
now-
can put on the table.
And like you see, every live event is so much better now because I feel like we've been like deprived of that, but it still puts more into that fact that you have to even be that much more entertaining when you're like in this mode rather than at an actual LAN.
Exactly. To answer, so Rome mentioned, I do think knowing the game helps being a host for that game, even though it isn't your job.
Yes and no.
Okay, I mean,
no on the equal side of yes. Go ahead. You give your answer first.
Okay. No, I agree. It is a yes or no. I think that due to the authenticity that fans want, right? I think that if a host has certain value points, they're gonna elevate the broadcast, but they can learn the game. I will take that over a host who knows so much, but is not giving us the entertainment that we need as a desk host. Like you can learn a game, and a good amount of people who get into the scene, like regardless, every single one of hosts had to learn a game at some point. And even when they moved to Valorant, right? You had to play it, you had to learn it. These hosts aren't.
Yeah, but Erin, what rank?
Like,
what rank are you though, Erin?
And so you have to have some sort of understanding, but you learn it.
I have a hot take.
Ooh, what's the hot take? Ooh.
And finish up. My ADHD was talking. Go ahead.
No, it's just, this is just the producer, Erin, coming out. Like, you want to have a host, like, learning a game, or like, for example, in traditional sports, learning a sport, it's not the hard thing. Like, the hard thing is the skill sets and the intangibles that person has on the broadcast.
Okay.
And that's why you pair them with people who are knowledgeable of the game. That is why we have analysts. That's why NBA, TNT NBA is one of the best broadcasts, because you have two former NBA players and top players paired in.
No nerds.
They're just personality, having fun,
There's always one.
knowledgeable. And Kenny, as the host, he knows when to like poke at Shaq, get Charles Barkley and Shaq to go at each other, help him with the narrative story. Like, those are certain skill sets that are not easy to have. So I'd rather have a host that has that and can learn the game versus one who is so knowledgeable of the game but cannot do these things.
I don't think it matters if you know the game or not if you're a host. My favorite times hosting is when I literally don't know what's going on, and I would lean into the analyst and be like, so tell me why this works like that. And they get excited because they want to teach me. Yep. And that's why like Jesse and I and the NAL became such close friends, because Jesse became like my little big brother. And like when I would talk to Jesse, even as an analyst, when I wanted to be a host, I would like host him a question. And Jesse would be like, all right, Velly, check this out. And then he would break it down for me. And the thing was, the community knew that like I was a newer guy in Rainbow Six. Like I was learning and growing when I was a desk host and whatnot. So it doesn't even fucking matter. Hosts, the worst hosts in the world, try to break down the game. You never need to do that.
Or they act like they know everything.
That's
if you
the
don't
worst.
know something, just say you don't know.
You know what I hate? I hate when the analyst breaks something down and then it comes to the host and they're like, well, yeah, because at on round number 5, and then they will go on like this minute-long rant about a breakdown. It's like, motherfucker, next, man. We don't want to hear that. All right, my hot take.
Okay.
It's not about if the host knows the game or not. The way that a host should be recruited for a game is if they bring the vibe for the type of atmosphere that the producer wants for the stream. It's either you want a vibe of a host that's going to be very buttoned up, and the host is going to be like, welcome to, so-and-so, I'm Johnny, and right here are my analysts, and this is the way we're going to talk. Or you get, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Call of Duty. Yo, y'all make some motherfucking noise, and then everybody goes crazy. Yeah. And that's the way you should look at a host.
As a Johnny,
the energy they
I
bring to a broadcast. Shut up. But you get what I'm saying, though. It has nothing to do about the knowledge. It's all about the atmosphere the host brings to the table. Like me going to Call of Duty. Like, let's be honest. Take a look at every desk Call of Duty has, and this is something that I had to look at, right? Like, Aladi is fucking great. And I am very, like, raw when it comes to my presentation, and she's super polished. Like, she's good at it, man. And it's like, you just take a look at Puckett. Puckett is the Ryan Seacrest of Esports. He's fucking flawless. You get all these different vibes that brings different type of atmospheres, and you get a different type of product for whatever era of Call of Duty you're in. And I think that's it. When I hosted Gears of War, that was fuck it, I'll flex. That was the biggest year of Gears of War, and numbers don't lie. If you think I'm lying, then fuck you. Like, you're wrong. Like, 100% you're wrong. And then it's like, you bring in someone else who, Tyler, you can say it. They brought in people that were buttoned up, and that is raw as me. And what happened? The product had an identity. The identity of Gears of War took a hit. And things were just never the same.
Straight up, nothing against any of the talent.
I can say that.
You can say whatever you want. I'm saying nothing against any of the talent, but I think a lot of that also just comes to the game itself. You left. No. It doesn't matter. You personally left at a perfect time as well. But your show was also a big thriving point for the community as well, too.
Well, hear me out. How about this, then? Call of Duty this year was supposed to be a fucking failure. I joined, and I did this strategically, too. I wanted to do that. I wanted to be the guy that went into the fire and was like, you know what? I never got the respect that I got as a Desco, so I'm going to go into a game that's in the fire that I love a lot, and I'm going to help that game out the best of my ability. We're going to have a fucking... One of the quotes that I told Esports Engine is that, like, if you pick me up, we're gonna have a fucking party on the desk. That's all it's gonna be. It's gonna be a fucking party.
And I think that's it. You know what's great about that is
man.
The energy you brought to that desk was such an "I told you so" energy, because there's so many people that were like, "Oh, we want it to be exactly what it was. What we hate change." And then now it's like, wait a minute.
What the fuck is Velly?
This crew is actually fucking awesome.
So like, I get on the desk with Allie, and it's like, usually people think when they get on the desk, they're gonna have to be super strategic. Well, we went to the interviews. I looked at Allie. I'm like, "Yo, baby girl, how you feeling?" And I yelled it at her. And that's not something you expected. She looked. She's like, "I'm feeling great." And she starts popping off. And that's the tone we kept through the entire weekend. And because of that, we had an event that people were boycotting. People were boycotting us. Next thing you know, there's Reddit threads. This is entertaining. This is fun. We like this event. And then Miles and Chance fucking pop up. You got Lando and Steady popping off. And it was fun, man. Everybody brought that atmosphere that Call of Duty needed. Yeah. So it's not just hosts, it's commentators and all that as well. I think that, listen, their vibe and what they bring to the table makes a difference, man. I love it.
So, another hot take. I don't think... How do I say this? I don't think esports broadcasting properly trains people to be hosts.
They don't.
I think a lot of it is taking those who are casters or analysts, and there's nothing wrong with people being just strictly casters and analysts, but taking those who are casters and analysts and then putting them into the hosting role. Hosting, I feel like out of all the positions in esports broadcast, I feel like hosting is typically the one that's not as understood, and sometimes it's a little bit disrespected. Even though hosting, you are literally controlling the ship of the broadcast.
You're the biggest.
Like, you are the face. You are writing. You are stirring. If we want to go to the left, guess what? The host is the one that tells we're going to the left.
The host is the bridge.
When I have a bad day, the whole stream has a bad motherfucking day.
Yeah,
okay?
it's gonna be a bad day.
The
host is fiery.
Every desk host is the bridge for the storytelling for the entire event, for that series, for that match, whatever. That's something I'm personally trying to get better at as a caster. But as a host, that's the most integral point.
Do you know what I love to do?
What's
like, whenever I throw it to like Miles and Chance, like I know their personalities like well enough now to where it's like I'll introduce them and then like I'll ask Miles a question like, "Yo, Miles, how do you feel about this?" And I know if I do that, Miles is very funny. Like Miles is a big personality, so like he would jump out and he'd be like, "Velly," and then he would do his thing, and then I'm done. And then Miles would carry that energy and he would expand it like a fucking amplifier, and it carries on. And it's just everyone that he passes to, it feeds on Chance. And then that feeds back to the desk. It feeds to Lando and Steady.
And everybody feels connected.
You orchestrate it. That's the thing. The host has to understand everyone's personality and skills, so they have to throw. They know exactly who they're throwing to and why they're throwing to them.
I know Lando's the big brain. I know Steady is that New York motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? So I can talk to Steady different. It's fun, man. I love what I do. Yeah. But yeah, so also another question. How do y'all feel about working with friends?
I mean, at my level, I love it. We were
talking about this.
How different it'll be.
Well, the thing is, you got to learn as well. You're gonna make a lot of friends in the industry, But
No, a lot of acquaintances. Let's make that very clear.
Okay.
You'll have some
thank
friends,
you for correcting
and
me.
you'll make a lot of acquaintances. We can't just be throwing the friends term around too much.
You know what I've learned? I tried to be a friend to everybody, then I realized quickly that when you try to be friends, like those people don't have your best intentions in mind, and they will throw you under the bus for themselves. Exactly. So
If you don't know about my personal life, if you never met my mama, if you've never been over to my house, like we're not friends.
I have literally
I don't
put
know to
my
hear that.
own name on the line for people. And go ahead, tell them. I literally put my name on the line for some people, and then for those people to turn around and just like do dirty things. It's like, yo, what's wrong with you? And I just stopped talking to them. So it's like you got to be careful about who you work in this industry.
Well, yeah, it's because some people, not everybody, but some people have an agenda. So if you're too like buddy, people might try to take advantage of you and think that's the key. You gotta snuff people out like that.
Yes, exactly. So
Yeah.
I mean, working in this industry though, you don't get to work with your great friends often.
No, that's the worst part.
Oh
You'll make friends for life at an event. You'll never see them again. It's fun. It's the worst when that happens.
Oh my god, yeah, I've never worked with you guys. Like I've never worked with you
know.
guys outside of this podcast.
Oh, whoever's
I've worked with
watching,
everyone.
whoever's
I mean,
watching, stay tuned. Eventually, we're gonna have an in studio episode. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
oh yeah,
What
we got
day?
this
Are we
video gets
manifesting this
picked
shit?
up.
Eventually, it will. Wait, what? What's that, Velly?
G4, how you doing, baby? Mwah. Yeah, no. High key though. I don't know. Working with friends is weird. I think that definitely relates to your come up to try to grow in the scene as well. I mean, we're friends and we work together, and shit isn't always sunshine and rainbows. Like I went through times where I was MIA, man. So it's
You know
like.
what? I think that kind of sidebars into also like a problem that some people might have, like something that might not really come up as much when you're trying to get into the industry, or if you say do get the opportunity to work an event or of some sort. I've struggled with this all the time. Is the networking? It's easier said than done. Like when you're actually at an event, like if a lot of people, I even know a lot of people that are talent. They're very boisterous. They're on it when they're on camera, but they might be more introverted when they're off camera. And then when you're at an event, you might find it hard to like, what's the opportunity to kind of befriend or talk to people? I don't want to intrude. Are they busy? I try to get out of my head in that way too, because that does happen. That does happen sometimes. But I think that's why it's important. Where regardless of how you do feel, if you're introverted, if you're a little shy, that's true. It's all good because I'm that same way. I think you got to make do of your time when you're working alongside people. If you're lucky enough to work an event that's on location somewhere now, like at a LAN, the after party stuff, the time where you actually are, it's more of leisure rather than business. That's the time that you should focus on then. And then when you're actually in it, focus on just doing the best job that you possibly can. But I just wanted to bring that up.
It's okay to say no as well.
I just wanted to bring that up because I know a lot of people might have that like worry too, or like that hump to get over.
I will say this. It's always okay to say no. I would say the biggest issue working with friends and, I mean, just people in general is that you're going to have to grow thick skin and you're going to have to learn to keep it real with people, like honest.
Oh, people
like
know
there's
when to
times
bullshit.
where when I had my other podcast on the flank, I had to remove people. And even though it had drama, it was like, listen, like it's business at the end of the day. If you want to make it personal or not, that's on you. But guess what? I'm going to move on regardless.
Well, that's the thing. You can't please everybody. So when you try to make friends with
try
everybody,
to.
it's almost impossible. Like you can I guess work in unison or coexist, I guess is the word I'm looking for with people, but not always be friends with everybody. It's kind of how that works.
Okay.
It's all about how you handle things, right? Like
Yeah,
I
you
think that you can have honest.
Just
like
don't wanna
I
be
mean,
fake.
listen, like even with us, not to like reveal everything, but like even we've had to have honest conversation with each other when it came to this podcast and like being consistent and doing things. Like I don't think it's bad to have conversations, especially with friends, and it's like
It's healthy.
if you and especially if you like feel like your friend could do better or anything like that. I do think there is a fine line that you have to walk because there are different personalities. There's type A's, there's type B's. There's some people who want like everything to be in a broadcast or have everything be perfect and exactly what's written down. And there's some people where it's like, hey, like I'm the kind of person where I like preparation, I like notes, but I'm not gonna follow it entirely to a T. Like I've worked with people where they wanted it
I think that's
to
natural.
a T. That clashes with my personality.
No,
but I've
yeah.
also had to learn how to have that conversation where it's like, hey, I appreciate the feedback. This is how I work.
Let's be real.
This is how
If
you
you've
work.
ever
Let's find a
worked on
middle ground.
Let's be real. If you've ever worked on a broadcast, how can you possibly imagine things are going to go perfectly or micromanage them effectively? You know what I mean? Like, you have to kind of wing it at some point. You have to know that improvisation is going to be needed most of the time.
There's so much micromanaging, though. Like,
it is a shame.
And well, okay, not all entirely.
There are
sometimes
aspects.
micromanagement, but it's just how some people are. There's something bad. There's some people who really want things entirely structured. I mean, even with this, I tell you guys, I would like some structure, please. Like, just some.
No. I love when you call us out where it's
like, be like, we need to do this. Like, no, I'm not gonna do that.
No, like you said, we're friends, but you have to throw it out, like make it known, like, hey, this is important, and you have to make that out, like, hey, we have to schedule this. We have to
we're
get
gonna
this
do
together.
something. Let's make an effort.
Yeah.
You know, like, if we're gonna put our time into this podcast, let's make it the best quality conversation, and let's have some kind of mapping so that we know where we're going. Because I don't know about you guys, but I've definitely listened to content and stuff where, like, it was all over the place. And I'm like, where are we going with this? You know?
That's
what friends do, though. They just ramble, don't they?
All right. Speaking of which, that's what we're doing right now. Okay, we've been doing this for like an hour. We've been trying to get a live stream out for like a year now, so we're excited, obviously. But how about this? Let's bring it back. Let's kind of close things off with our last topic. Okay? How about that?
Okay.
Working in this industry, the thing is, in life, there's instances where we look at the now and not what's the next step of it. Eventually, some people wind up getting way better than they thought they would be. And life changes really fucking fast. Faster than you would ever think, especially in esports. Shit, mine just did a few weeks ago. Career-life balance. Erin, you literally just moved to LA. I just moved to Columbus, Ohio. You came from the East Coast. I came from the West Coast. We just went like this, Erin. We just went like this. I should have said what's up when we passed by on the plane.
Tyler's still in Philly.
I know.
Right.
I'm just chilling.
Erin, when it comes to making hard decisions for your life in esports, I mean, yo, what is it like? And can you even give any advice to the up-and-comers out there? Because sometimes you just gotta, I look at esports like water. Sometimes you just gotta flow.
Yes.
You gotta flow because it's always changing.
Yes.
Yeah, you gotta be with it.
The Bruce Lee mentality, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like one with the water. I think that whenever you're making really important decisions, don't jump too quickly. Like, really think about it. Think about the pros and cons. Think about if it makes sense. Like, I held out. A lot of people don't know. I was supposed to move to LA like over a year ago. But I held out because it just did not make sense from a financial perspective, from a move perspective. It just did not make sense.
Right.
Do things that make sense for you. But when it makes sense for you, you have to make that jump. Like, you cannot be afraid to make that jump. And that you may have to move, right? And if you have a significant other or family you have to talk to, like, that is a hard decision to make. It's a hard conversation to have. But at the end of the day, like, if this is something that you're passionate about and you want to pursue, like, you have to go for it. Because you may not get the same opportunity again. I mean, you'll get other opportunities, but it may not be that one.
That's so true.
This is serious. This is the shit people don't think about. Think about me right now. Where have I lived the past 3 years? Virginia to Poland to New Jersey to Las Vegas to Ohio within the last 5. Oh my God, that was. I just realized that in the last 5 years.
Frightened. That's
other than a new state, every
over,
new state or country every year.
Mr. World.
And I was engaged, I was married, divorced, and now I'm seeing somebody right now. And this is the thing. If I've lived in 4 states and 2 countries in 5 years, what type of person am I talking to when it comes to these life balance changes? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm talking to a girl now where it's like, NJ represent. Nah, we ain't doing that out here, man.
Buddy.
I had a bad experience in New Jersey. Erin's going to try to change my mind next time if we ever hit up New York together again, because I need a redo on that whole part of the world.
I will change your mind.
Because from this point forward, I fucking hate New Jersey with a passion. Yeah, no disrespect. I love you guys. Kind of. But,
it's
like,
nice.
Can I date a girl that lives in, Virginia, works at 9 to 5 and can't move nowhere while I'm moving all over the world and have to travel all the time? Like, Erin,
And how
have
are
you
they
ever
gonna
thought
feel?
about that? Because it's like I'm talking to a girl now, and it's kind of like she's fortunate because she can work remotely and travel the world with me while living the dream. But it's not like that for everybody, because some people did spend money on their pretty degree, and they, that ego won't let them let it go. So, have you thought about this?
Yeah, I've went through it. I was in a relationship where the person couldn't deal with my work life at all, and it's gonna happen like that. But for me, and I think for me, it may not be the same for others, but I'm comfortable being on my own. Like, I don't need to have someone. But
we all like a special touch.
We all like a little special someone, I do.
Don't you want to travel the world with your own thing?
I do have a crush. Okay, I'll admit that I do.
Okay.
But for me, it is like I have my dreams and goals, and whoever is going to be that right person for me is going to embrace that and be okay with that, and not, because my thing is like by not supporting my dreams and goals, like I'm gonna be unhappy in that relationship. Like you could always find a solution to things, and it's just finding someone who has the groundness, who has the secure in themselves to be able to deal with it. Not everyone can, and at the end of the day, if I had to choose between a relationship or my dreams, I'm sorry, I'm going for my dreams. Like, that's the one thing I will not change. Like, I will not change my dreams. I can compromise and figure out certain other things, right? But I'm not going to cancel going after my dreams because it makes you uncomfortable. Like, I'm not doing that.
Doesn't it make the most sense though that the person that you should end up being with would support your dreams? They should. No,
it doesn't happen that way. Nope.
No, I know it doesn't. But when it's
like hypothetically, it should be.
It should be. But when you're still in the early stage, or when you're in a stage of a relationship where you're going to the next level, I think that's where you need to make that decision. And it's really on you. Whereas, like, are you comfortable with sacrificing this, or do you have to throw it down and tell?
I can speak on experience. I can speak from experience. I'm not going to talk bad about her, but my ex-wife that had divorced, like, one of the conversations was like, yo, I told her one day, oh, this shit was gangster. I told her one day, I was like, yo,
I'm the one who knocks.
No, I've had gangster talks where the shit comes true. Like, yo, before I joined Esports, actually, I went up to her and sat her down one day, and I said, I'm gonna quit my job doing IT. And I want to say I saved up enough salary for 4 months to survive. If I don't get into esports, I'm going back to work, and you'll never hear about it again. But I'm gonna let you know. Then I got full-time esports the next month. But I also told her one time, I was like, yo, there's gonna be a point in time where I am gonna have to go to like a Paris, Germany, LA, Las Vegas. And I'm aware of what you do, but you're gonna have to trust me. I'm gonna work my contract, or it's paid for. You could be a stay-at-home boo thing and live your best life and travel. But then when ego steps in, and I'm not saying she was egotistical, I'm giving an example. Let's say if someone's ego step in, they're like, hey, I paid a lot of money to be a doctor, an accountant, to be this or that or the third, and I'm making 70K a year and I'm happy. It's like, okay, fine, okay, do that. But it's like some people don't want to give that up because that is their pride, that's their baby. So how do you combat that when you're saying, all right, so if you want to stay here in Texas, well, I'm about to get paid 170, 180, 200, and I'm going to live in a Vegas or a Paris or a Columbus, Ohio, rent free, and you could be living a dream. It's like, walk around in the road drinking wine all day, watching Netflix, like, are you willing to make that sacrifice to help me chase my dreams? And in the meantime, you reap the benefits? A lot of people will say no, Tyler. A lot of people will say no. And that is the scary truth of it.
You know what it is?
What is it?
I think,
tell me.
Okay, it's a few things. I think it is a few things because
Wait, let me say this. She works 2 jobs now and only work one half. I work like half her schedule. So it's like, this is real shit that more than that. But still, though, these are the situations that we face as on our talent. People think what we do.
But that's like you at least you're realistic.
Change.
But I mean, your life sounds like a fictional story, but I can attest it is absolutely true. I mean, but the thing with it, when you're making like money like that, at least you're in a realistic world point, where some people, it's not like, hey, I promise this band, I'm going to get this band off the ground, please support me and let me live in your apartment. It's not like that. You have the money to show for it. You have the lifestyle to show for it. And I think a lot of people too need to kind of realize where, if you are in a state where you're in right now, and you still don't have people that support you, move along.
No, it's not that though. But you have to find someone from the get-go that understands this from the jump. It sounds like when I was dating, the girl I'm talking to now, like, we laugh about it, but she loved it. It was a thing for her. It was like, you have to kind of come off strong and be like, all right, listen, like, this is my life.
Yep.
And even though I'm talking to you right now and we're in Las Vegas, I'm going to be in Columbus, Ohio in a few months. Possibly. I'm working on a contract, and I'm willing to date. We could travel. We both got money. She makes more money than me. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, it's like, are you willing to make that sacrifice when the time comes? And I don't want you to lie to me. I want you to be honest. If you say no, we can finish this meal. We can have some drinks and have a good time tonight. You say yes. Let's see where this leads us.
Yeah, but you know what? I think
being an adult.
But part of it too is people don't take this job seriously. Like they don't take broadcasting and esports and gaming seriously for those if they don't understand.
You're talking about people outside of.
No, people outside, like people if you end up being with, right? They don't quite understand that this is a professional job.
Tell anybody.
They don't quite understand. Also, I think that there's this assumption that because they see us with other attractive people or working with other attractive people, it's like, oh, y'all fucking. It's like, no, that's not what it is, right? Or that there's like a bunch of hoes and men can be hoes too, or like all that stuff.
Well,
right?
we're
sluts.
It's like that. There's this notion that like you're out and about and sometimes turning up, and it's like, no, like after I'm done working, I went home. I went to sleep. I have no idea what you're talking about, and so it's a combination. I think for me, I've had a situation where a former partner like wanted to go to events all the time with me, and I was like, no, sometimes I need to focus on working. I can't focus sometimes because the problem was that person wanted me to focus on them while they're and like show them off, and I'm like,
you'll have them say no.
I have to work.
But you'll have them say stuff like, no, I promise I'm there. I'll support you. And then when you're there, it's like, when are you done? Please, come on, let's go. It's like,
oh, I had that one time.
You don't get it.
Oh my fucking
It's like,
God.
Are you ready to be at the venue for 13 hours? That's the life.
Hard.
That is the lifestyle.
You know what our job throws in people's faces when we're dating? Like, I actually told the girl, I was like, I could take my ego out of it. I could still do what I do. I could live in Vegas. I have jobs I could do. I could work Splitgate or whatever. I could make a decent living, and you could still make your money and chase your dreams. We could do both ways. It don't matter. Like, whichever, we could flip a coin. But there's instances where it's like getting to the point to where someone is gonna have to give up their life and understand that you're not going to be first when it comes to this event. It is this person's time, and you have to be there as their significant other. Not to be, hey, look at me, treat me right, spoil me. I want to live the dream. Is I am a compliment to your life at the moment because this is your world. And it's very, very hurtful if your ego gets in the way, because it's like, you have to realize, like, I'm gonna be on that stage. I'm not gonna. I told my girl, I was like, listen, you want to come to these lands, like, you might as well just come Saturday night, because Sunday you could dress up nice. We go to the event, have fun. We can take a few days. Monday, Tuesday, we could explore. Leave Wednesday. But I'd be damned if you think. And she didn't even argue it. But it's like the understanding was like, don't expect like to come with me on Wednesday and we're whining and dining, going shopping, spending all this time together. No, I'm working. Like, my job comes first this weekend, period. It comes first even before me. And that has to be understood between the both of us. And if they look at you and be like, okay, then it's like, I love you. Let's do this. Let's get it done. If they're like, then it's like,
yep.
All right, don't come.
I need...
agree.
And guess what? And also this, my bad. I can get a call tonight that says, hey, you're going to be gone for a week. And you know what? That little fancy date that we had planned and that time you thought you were going to spend with me, when I had my very first, Masters 1 for Valorant, I broke up with a girl. I broke up with a girl before Masters 1 in Valorant. She was a vet. She was gorgeous. She was fucking bad, man. She was bad. And it was like, she got mad because the weekend before I left, I said, I leave Monday, but I'm studying during this weekend before I leave. You're like, you're not gonna spend time with me? I'm like, you come hang out. I'm not taking you out. Then we go Uber Eats. Didn't work for her. I said, peace out.
Yeah, no. There has to be a compromise at some point. You can't just like have someone have all the time. I think for me, like, I like whoever I end up like the partner, they need to have their own thing. Like I'll be like, listen, while I'm gone, go hang out with your friends.
Normies don't.
Go have your other passion. You have your other stuff where you're traveling. Like, I think that like, and I've always been like that. First of all, I need space. I've always been that way.
I'm gonna talk after you, Tyler.
And I think that like when you have a career, it's hard because it's like there are the benefits of this career, right? And especially when you start to grow a lot in entertainment, you make more money, you go to nice events, all these different things, right? But what they don't understand is like it takes work and continuous work to do these things, right? And that there has to be kind of give and pull. Like for example, if you know you're gonna be traveling, right? And you set like a date night, be like, hey, I can do a date night now, but like the rest of this week, I have to focus on all these different things. I think that
women don't like that. Ooh.
But you know what it is? I think it's just like, well, okay, so I'll address the women part. I think that there are various people, and not just women, there are people. I think there's various people who expect the person they're dating to fulfill certain things in them when they have to actually fulfill it in themselves. They have to like, you gotta love yourself. You gotta take care of yourself. You gotta put yourself number one. And it's like they want the attention, and that usually stems from, something internally that they need to work on and not have codependency and all these different things. And it's not just women, it's men. I think that more people have to just, to be honest, and people just have to learn more about themselves. Learn the good and the bad and work on these things because you can't expect your partner to fulfill those things. I was in a situation where it's the expectation I was going to fulfill it. I'm like, I cannot do that for you. Like, I cannot be that happiness for you. I cannot be that thing that picks you up all the time. Like sometimes you got to pick yourself up. It's just
learn to play a video game, motherfucker.
Look, I hate using the word normies, but it's a real thing. You gotta. It's a real thing to define these people.
Most of them don't have hobbies, man.
Well, no, you know what the biggest
passions sometimes.
They
don't.
Here's the biggest problem. Here's the scenario for you. Imagine you're dating somebody that's like this, that's completely outside the industry, right? And they're like, oh no, I don't want you to study. I don't want you to vibe review. No, let's go out. Let's do this. Don't do that. Don't travel. Don't go that. And then what happens when you're like, I guess, I'm not going to do as much of this, esports thing or this gaming thing or this on-air talent thing or whatever. And then what happens in like 2-3 years? Why don't you have any goals? Why don't you do this? It's like you ruined my life. That's most likely why. Like
that goes
people
both
like
ways.
That, they need to get, there's a push and a pull.
That's the risk of love.
That's the thing. But they need to understand the lifestyle though. That's the biggest thing.
All right. Let me say this. I'm gonna cut this. All right. We've been streaming for how long? All right, it's been an hour 23. This discussion is going left into an area that I actually like. So I have a proposal for both of you live on the air. How about we're gonna think about the guests, but let's talk to them. We know there's a few on-air talent with significant others as well. I would like to hear their thoughts about balancing that. Sure. And the problems with dating. I'm gonna talk to good-looking single on-air talent as well, because we don't just sit home and just play games all day. We want that special touch too. You know what I'm saying? I like my neck kiss. You know what I'm saying? I say we do another live stream and we talk about the difficulties and the positives of dating as on-air talent. Again, I feel like we are entering a conversation now where it's real. I mean, people are breaking up, people are leaving each other, and people are leaving first dates saying, I can't date you because your job. I mean, in my marriage, my job was a big part of it. It's basically a battle. Are you gonna be happy with your 70 a year, or are you gonna ride with me and give up, your dream to be with me? Or am I willing to give up my dream of trying to go to the top and being with you? That is a big conflict when it comes to ego. Yeah. And I think it's gonna be a good discussion. I love this shit, man. This is like one of my favorite projects ever, next to On the Flame. So Tyler, how you feeling, man?
I adore you guys. Thank you for having me on, and for the first of many. It's gonna be exciting. I can't wait till we get some more guests on and do more of these. Plenty of more of these. It's gonna be good. Velly, you've been saying you're all over the world. You're doing this, do that. I've been in Philly Philly, Raleigh, and Philly. I've been, dude, let me tell you, man, I'm Mr. Worldwide over here.
Mr. Worldwide. And I am Mrs. Worldwide. Thank you, chat, so much. For those who are tuning in, we really appreciate you from the East to the West Coast.
Yeah, I love you guys. Hope you all stay safe, get vaccinated, spread love, and also make sure you watch the CDL this year. Now I'm playing. I love you guys. Y'all be easy, and yeah, we'll see you next time for Life Is Not a Game. Y'all be good.
Take care, guys.
Bye, guys.